So what were you doing in 1982? I was 9. At the sort of at little risk of being laid off as factories closed. I was at no risk of an unaffordable loan with interest rates going sky high. The oncoming economic threat at that point from Asia was from Japan. The Milwaukee Brewers won the American League. It was a very long time ago. And that long time ago is the last time we had unemployment figures as bad as today's. New jobless claims jumped to over 626,000. The president in 1982 was, of course, Ronald Reagan, and in a very big way, he remains a player, a spectral presence almost in the Republican Party as they search for meaning in the minority, the GOP in exile.
Is your lonely
Senate Republicans spent today's debate over the economic stimulus bill, one after another, slamming the Democratic plan. It's big government getting bigger. It's the end of the American economy. It's the road to the economic abyss. Can we go back and actually show Senator Hatch again? Go back to that picture. You see the sign behind him there? He says that's the Republican plan to fix an economy careening towards Great Depression. In big letters there, what will stave off the Depression? Lower corporate tax rates and lower capital gains tax rates. Really? That would help? No. Actually, that wouldn't help us get out of this horrible recession. But pshaw! The Republican gospel most commonly and curiously credited to Ronald Reagan is tax cuts, tax cuts, tax cuts, and smaller government. Those will solve everything this side of the common cold. Our current president is fighting a quarter-century-old battle against this weighty ghost. And today he practically paraphrased Ronald Reagan's famous refrain, "There you go again."
We've seen proposals arise from some in Congress that you may not have read, but you'd be very familiar with because you've been hearing them for the last 10 years, maybe longer. They're rooted in the idea that tax cuts alone can solve all our problems, that government doesn't have a role to play. Let me be clear. Those ideas have been tested, and they have failed.
Even if he's right, even though he's right, President Obama is undertaking a difficult fight. How do you beat back a quarter century of the same repeated strategy whose leading advocate is the ghost of a now iconic president? Joining us now is Will Bunch, author of Tear Down This Myth, How the Reagan Legacy Has Distorted Our Politics and Haunts Our Future. Will, it's great to see you.
Hi, it's great to see you, Rachel.
Are you seeing the ghost of Ronald Reagan in our current economic fights?
Absolutely. I was amazed to hear President Obama tonight say that we need to move beyond the era when the solution to every problem that America faces is just another tax cut. What he was talking about the myth of Ronald Reagan.
Yeah.
Exactly. 6 weeks ago, we had a jobs plan that was going to create jobs by spending money on, frankly, on things that have been neglected since the era of Ronald Reagan, on infrastructure, on mass transit, on alternative energy programs, sure, which were slashed by Ronald Reagan, who took the solar panels off the roof of the White House. And then the Reagan myth machine kicked in. It was talk radio. It was the echo chamber that no, as Republicans, we need to stick to the Ronald Reagan playbook. And the Ronald Reagan playbook is only tax cuts, and not just tax cuts, but tax cuts that are targeted towards the wealthy, tax cuts on capital gains, and more tax cuts for corporation. That's the plan that Republicans are pushing now.
What you write about and Tear Down This Myth is that the idea that Ronald Reagan was a consistent tax cutter, or even that he made government smaller, it's not. That's the mythology of him, but it's not actually the way he governed.
No, he spent the first 6 months of his presidency pushing one big tax cut that had the biggest impact on the wealthiest taxpayers by reducing their marginal rates dramatically. After that, he raised taxes almost every year of his presidency. In 1982, Ronald Reagan passed the biggest tax increase at that time in American history because he had gone too far the first time, basically.
And he added a cabinet position. He increased the size of the federal government. But
right,
he railed against the size of government even while he was increasing it.
Absolutely. I think we went from 2.8 million jobs to 3 million. Ironically, the Bill Clinton administration successfully cut the number of jobs in the government with a task force that was led by Al Gore. But you don't hear Bill Clinton getting credit for that.
So we end up with a distance between the ideology that is attributed to Reagan and the way that he actually governed. What explains the distance between those two things?
Well, I think it was a very conscious effort that was undertaken in the middle of the Clinton presidency when things were going very well in this country, when you had low unemployment and you had a situation where we were finally getting rid of budget deficits for the first time and we were moving into a budget surplus. The conservative movement was really kind of bankrupt of ideas. And in 1997, Grover Norquist and some other neoconservatives started something called the Ronald Reagan Legacy Project, and with the idea of associating greatness with the presidency of Ronald Reagan.
So they decided that this was going to be, they were going to tell a great story about him, even if they couldn't tell a great history of him. Yeah. Will Bunch, it's so nice to see you. Congratulations on the book.
Oh, thanks, Rachel. I really appreciate it.
It's called Tear Down This Myth, How the Reagan Legacy Has Distorted Our Politics and Haunts Our Future. It's great to see you.
Great to see you, too.